You are watching the Global Gamers Invitational Tournament brought to you by iFixit. SCVs for the real world. The Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds. And Esports United, sponsored by Intel. This broadcast is also made possible by IC Cup TV, TeamLiquid.net, and of course, Blizzard Entertainment. Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Mac. I am here with Railcoon and we are bringing you the Global Gamers Invitational. This is the round of 8, game 1 between DimagaZ and his opponent Duckload Raw, better known as WhiteRaP, the Blue Protoss. And for those of you who are here live and for those of you who just watched the previous series we've casted, this is the exact same map with the exact same spawning locations, so maybe we'll see the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, Mutaling is very, very good. Just if you get that good number of mutas, use those Zerglings to control the space so effectively, just make it really an uphill battle for your Protoss opponent to take the third base, then it can become really tough for him. So we'll have to see. Both DimagaZ, like we were talking about 5 minutes ago, you have to play really safe, because if you don't, he's just gonna go freaking blow you up with Banelings, because if he sees the slightest opportunity to punish you for being a little bit too greedy, he goes for it, and he usually gets it. These two, they played like right at the end of the beta. That series was so awesome. I haven't seen these two play since. I gotta think it's happened, I just haven't seen it in a major event, so I'm excited. I got nerd giggles going on.
No, and I personally haven't seen WhiteRaP play in a while, so this is really exciting for me. I've never actually casted a WhiteRaP game either, so this is a big moment for me as well. Now, before we get into that, I do want to once again thank those sponsors. They are, of course, iFixit, SCVs for the real world, Esports United, sponsored by Intel, and the Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds, which I was just informed a couple games ago that apparently they have IC Cup t-shirts, so if you want to be fanboys, not that we're encouraging you to do that, but you can get IC Cup TV, is it TV or just IC Cup t-shirts?
They're IC Cup TV t-shirts.
There you go, it's actually us, not the old Brood War one. Now,
yeah,
I have to stop talking, sorry, because we're missing such an important moment here. DimagaZ trying to get that expansion down, and WhiteRaP with 2 drones on him, just lost his probe, but he got the pylon up in time, and DimagaZ unable to expand, sitting on 400 minerals, 18 out of 18 supply. He does not want this at all. The spawning pool is done. He is producing 8 lings, but there is that advantage that Huck just couldn't get in the previous series. He couldn't get even an inch, and WhiteRaP has it. So hopefully he can be aggressive soon or expand soon and actually get a step up against his Zerg opponent.
And that will just delay the timing of, like we saw, Huck was trying to push in and be aggressive, but there was already a Spinecrawler there. And this little bit of a delay, if WhiteRaP does go for an aggressive push here in the early of the game, it'll delay that Spinecrawler. So he might be able to get in there before it finishes, before that Spinecrawler does its poke of doom, that sort of thing, and completely turns him away. Because once there are Spinecrawlers up with a good number of Zerglings, you just really can't touch that until you get a lot of units. And if your opponent continues to make Spinecrawlers, because they're going up to Mutalisks, which is a common strategy, while teching to mutas, you usually wind up just a little bit vulnerable with just Zerglings. So players will take that opportunity to make a lot of drones and drop Spinecrawlers, make it really tough for you to break them with just warp gates.
Now, WhiteRaP trying to snipe an Overlord inside his base right now. It's going to be pretty close. He chrono boosted that out, trying to get it, and DimagaZ instantly turned around, retreating, and it looks like it is just going to be enough. Yes, another slight advantage going to WhiteRaP. He now delayed the expansion and killed an Overlord. And if you see in DimagaZ's base, he is, of course, supply blocked as a result of that, waiting for an Overlord, 2 Overlords, in fact, to pop. So he actually pre-trained those. I think he expected to lose that Overlord. So he isn't actually slowed down, just down 100 minerals.
Yeah, and losing an Overlord that early in the game is always a hit, even if you're preparing for it by making the extra Overlord. That extra 100 minerals and the extra larva this early in the game are really important. You can see that DimagaZ got the extra queen really early from his main base hatchery, so that he could walk it down in advance. And look at this, exactly what I was talking about. WhiteRaP is here being aggressive. This Spinecrawler is not even half done yet. So he is going to be able to put some pressure on him. He's going to kill these Zerglings. It means that DimagaZ is going to have to make more Zerglings instead of drones. It's going to delay the economy here of DimagaZ, which is exactly what Huck wanted to do last time, but just wasn't able to pull it off. There's no speed even upgrading for these Zerglings, as he did go for the lair first. And, you know, just all these little delays will add up. It'll make WhiteRaw so much more safe. You can see he's dropping his Nexus. That Nexus is going to be extremely safe now. He's going to be able to keep up with DimagaZ in a macro game if they do fall back into that. But these Stalkers are putting quite a lot of pressure on him in the meantime.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say for DimagaZ, because WhiteRaw playing brilliantly, he definitely has an upper hand. This great placement of the Spine Crawlers. He's completely walled off, saying no Spine Crawler can harass here. Fortunately, WhiteRaw finding this just in time, able to snipe. It looks like he's going to get all three of them down. But DimagaZ took a chance. He did not opt for the Zergling speed. Instead, he went straight for the lair. So I think he's trying to make up for that lost distance, and this harassment is just so deadly. But if he can get something with lair, if he can get those fast mutas or Hydralisks in time, he could catch WhiteRaw off guard with a counterattack.
Yeah, and he does actually have to pull the drones with this because he does not have a whole lot of Zerglings at this point. Without that speed, it's so much tougher to fight these Stalkers because they do have even speed off a creep. On creep, the Zerglings are just a little bit faster, but he just doesn't have enough Zerglings to do this with just Zergling Queen. He rebuilt those Spine Crawlers up in front where WhiteRaw cannot snipe them, and now he's uprooting them and planting them farther back. Using that transfusion to keep these queens alive, these Spine Crawlers will finish rooting, and that will be enough to chase WhiteRaw out of his base finally. But all this time, he hasn't really had the freedom to drone as much as he'd like. You see he just finished a round of drones because he was finally chasing him out of here with these Spine Crawlers. But normally, you wouldn't be able to make that many drones in this situation.
Now, looks like there is one good piece of news here for DimagaZ, which is that it looks like WhiteRaw was as preoccupied with the battle as DimagaZ had to be. So WhiteRaw only has, I think it's 4 probe lead right now, 2 probes now because the drones are kicking in. He doesn't have any tech, and that's where WhiteRaw's really hurting right now. He did great pressure. He's clearly spending his money well, has a great economy, but he only just finished that that robotics facility. The Immortal comes out of the robotics facility. You see my mistake there. So, one thing I do want to say to his credit, he clearly is sniffing Mutalisks, because just like Huck, he has those blue Stalkers waiting right where the Mutalisks arrive, and he's calling it dead on right. Spire's almost complete, and like I said, it was a very good attack, tons of damage. Look at all these Spine Crawlers built for nothing. Drones weren't being produced. He lost a ton of units, didn't kill that many Protoss units in return, but even after all that, you look at it right now, DimagaZ looks like he's more or less tied. It'll all come down to the timing. Will the Mutalisks be able to do enough damage before Colossus and Gateway units start knocking on the front door?
Yeah, but look at the position that he's in as compared to Sen in last game, where Sen was already working on getting his third base up. His 5th and 6th gas were finishing not too soon after this point, after the first several Mutalisks were popping, and he has not even started to build that hatchery. You can see WhiteRaw is getting his third base up, and that really early aggression has forced DimagaZ into a little bit more of a defensive play. He's probably not going to be able to contain WhiteRaw